So we talked about many different types of opportunities, but sometimes the most obvious opportunity is sort of staring you in the face. So as a lot of you taking our program are technical specialists in some way, in one way or another, we should not omit talking about becoming a freelancer. So let's just dive into the freelancing opportunity. It's actually a very simple recipe. You learn a technical skill for a few years. Might be 1 year, if you're lucky, might be 5 years. It could be programming, data science, plumbing, engineering, becoming a specialized nurse. There's so many options here. But becoming a specialist is sort of the first thing to do. So you learn the skill. Then you work as an employee for a couple of years, might be 5 years, might be 10 years. The important thing is to understand which skills that are in demand by clients and to choose projects wisely. So typically you'd want to work as a consultant for these years in some way so that you get exposed to many different clients. You also want to understand which clients are in themselves successful so that there will be more demand for skills such as yours with those clients. But then after a couple of years, when you sort of start to get the hang of it, you quit and you start to freelance. And then you do this for, let's say, 15 years, 20 years, and then you just reinvest the profits from the freelancing. And this is a very simple recipe for getting comfortably rich over a longer period of the time. So unfortunately, a lot of people want to do it a lot faster than this, but I mean, if you want to get rich fast, you have a very low probability of succeeding. This route has a much higher probability of succeeding, and actually many people can take on this route. It's just that there are obviously no guarantees, and many people would equate this to, eating your carrots. So it sounds a bit boring, but still, it's actually, I'd argue, probably the most high expected value way there is. So then if you start freelancing, how do you find clients? There are so many ways to do this. You could obviously go back to former employers and ask them, can you hire me as a freelancer instead? You could go to former clients if you worked as a consultant for a while. After a couple of years, there's no compete clause, so you can actually go to those clients and you liked me as a consultant then, perhaps just hire me as a freelancer now. There are tons of marketplaces that you can list yourself on, and there's a list down here like Upwork, Fiverr, TopTal. There's so many of them, and there are niche ones depending on your specific skill set. There are freelance brokers, like companies that specialize in finding assignments for freelancers. So you should give your CV to a couple of those. You could become a subcontractor to other consulting firms. Send your CV to a bunch of consulting firms saying, well, I'm a specialist in SharePoint development. So if you ever need one, here's my CV, and give me a call if you need one. You should typically try to market yourself on a regular basis. This could be content marketing, a blog, LinkedIn, a newsletter. Or for that matter, try to teach and do lectures, just to sort of tell the world about projects that you've done. So there are many different ways of finding clients, and you need obviously to work on this a bit. In some rare cases, assignments will just sort of fall into your lap, but that's the rare case. Some things to bear in mind when you go freelancing is that it can be lonely. You need to, because you don't have an employer, you don't have regular colleagues, and you're sort of an outsider. You need to stay relevant, so you can't just work all the time. You need to actually learn some new skills and new technologies and so on. You should try to find assignments that pay you an hourly rate rather than take on fixed fee projects, unless you're very confident in that you can deliver those projects in a fast and efficient way. And you want big clients. You want to work with big companies that are completely insensitive to hiring freelancers. For them, just hiring a consultant, that's just I mean, that's small money for them. Going for small clients, they will negotiate much more. They'll try to have you there for as short period of time as possible. So big clients is much better than small clients. And just then some basic freelance math. Let's say you do 45 billable hours per year. So you have like 7 hours per year in vacation, time off, Christmas, what have you. You do 40 hours a week. 80% of those you actually bill, and the rest goes into admin work, sales, marketing, and so on. Let's say you charge 100 euros per hour, and this equates to 144,000 euros per year. And this, I mean, 100 euros per hour, that's not necessarily that high. If you're a very specialized person in a senior role, I mean, you could charge much more. But just to give you a sense of the math. And this might be what your income statement might look like if that's what you do. So you have a revenue of 144,000. You have a cost of services, as it's called. I mean, it's not a cost of goods sold, because cost of goods sold relates to inventory and you're selling your services. So you have a cost of services and you have a very nice gross profit. And typically you have very low, if not zero, SG&A expense. No depreciation because you have no fixed assets. There's very little non-operating income unless you take on loans to buy equipment. So you need to pay some income tax, but all in all, I mean, the most money you could actually either pay out as a salary to yourself or get out as dividends or save as net income. In many cases, it doesn't pay it's not worth it to pay out all of this net income to you as dividends because you have to tax a lot. So instead what you do is just reinvest it and invest it in let's say, index funds, which is a great way of managing money. And over time, this is a simple Excel sheet showing like the bill hours, the revenue you get, and then you pay yourself a salary. We assume that both the revenue and the salary cost increases by 5% per year, either inflation or seniority. I mean, for some reason you manage to get paid slightly more every year. You have a nice profit after tax, and then you invest it, and then these investments grow with an average of 8% per year, which has been the historical return on index funds. After 20 years, you end up with 3.3 million euros. I mean, 20 years might sound as a long time, but if a career is on average of 45 years, this is actually much more money than most people will be able to save during a regular career. So, all in all, becoming a freelancer might actually be the most probable route to wealth. Probable. As long as you can stand getting rich slowly. And many people won't take that. Many people want to do it fast. And that's, sometimes it succeeds, sometimes it doesn't. But this is a much more viable path to take, as opposed to trying to find, this high risk, high reward business idea. So if you're a technical specialist, the takeaway from this, and perhaps from this whole module, might be consider doing freelancing. And if you want to see this math for yourself, I mean, we've attached a small spreadsheet here where you can play around with assumptions and see this for yourself. Thank you.